I leaned against the kitchen counter by the window, gazing at the backyard bathed in morning sunlight. Young maple leaves swayed in the breeze as soft spring light poured across the garden. The distant barking of a neighbor's dog echoed through the air, and early morning joggers passed by on this holiday morning in Lexington. I paused while wrapping Tommy's birthday present and let out a deep sigh. Here in this ordinary single-family home in the Boston suburbs, our family lives a contentedly happy life. While not luxurious, my husband David earns a stable income as a skilled construction worker, and I hold a responsible position in the bakery department of a supermarket. A simple 2-story house. White siding with blue window frames that David repainted last summer. In the backyard stands Tommy's wooden swing, where every weekend, David pushes him higher and higher. Every time I see that scene, my heart warms. "Mom, are you done wrapping?" I turned at Tommy's energetic voice coming down the stairs to see his big blue eyes shining with expectation. His brown hair still showed signs of bedhead. My 8-year-old son was about to celebrate a special day. He had been marking off days on the calendar every day since last week. "Almost done. Just need to add the ribbon." I smiled and turned back to the carefully framed picture my son had drawn. Tommy loves drawing and his art teacher at school recognizes his talent. This particular piece was special, drawn for his grandmother, my mother, as a thank you for finally agreeing to throw him a birthday party. A bouquet of flowers painted in watercolors. The colorful blooms radiated like Tommy's gentle heart itself. That thought made my chest tighten a bit. Mother never fails to throw a birthday party for my sister Carol's son, James. She rents out luxury hotels, hires clowns and magicians, and serves elaborate meals. Yet for Tommy's birthdays, she hadn't even bothered to make a phone call until now. I know the reason. My sister Carol has a compliant personality and married a wealthy man, just as Mother had hoped. Her husband is an elite investment banker, and James has been pampered since birth. In contrast, my husband David is a craftsman working at my father's company. For Mother, that was an unforgivable choice. My parents live in a mansion in an upscale neighborhood, and Father has found success as the president of Henderson Construction. Mother serves as the financial director at Father's company and lives a life armed with perfect appearances and luxury brands. While I was lost in thought, Tommy was still bubbling with excitement. "Grandma will be happy with this, won't she? I worked really hard on it." His innocent smile made my heart ache. Mother is discriminatory and self-centered. Even at last year's Christmas party, the difference in presents between my sister's family and Tommy was stark. How many times have I seen Tommy's lonely expression while James received expensive gifts right next to him? But this time would be different. She had promised to throw Tommy a birthday party for the first time. I couldn't help but pray. I hoped for even a small change in Mother's heart. "Hey Mom, is Dad coming home soon?" Tommy asked, tilting his head. David had left for work early this morning. Though reserved and serious by nature, he's a caring and gentle husband. With his sturdy build and sincere eyes, David was a partner I was proud of. In about 30 minutes. "Dad can shower and get ready right away," I answered while adjusting the final bow on the ribbon. Outside the window, the spring sunlight grew even brighter. As the maple leaves swayed in the wind, light and shadows danced across the garden. Like this light, I hoped today would become a warm memory for our family. With that wish, I carefully lifted the wrapped gift. Around 10 o'clock Saturday morning, David returned from work. Wood shavings clung to his work clothes, and sweat glistened on his forehead. As he took off his shoes at the entrance, he smiled apologetically at me. "Sorry, Amy. Got held up with the site arrangements." "It's fine, we still have plenty of time," I answered while brushing the wood shavings from his shoulders. David passed Tommy, who was energetically coming down the stairs as he went up. "Dad! Hurry and get ready. Grandma's throwing my birthday party today." Tommy's voice bounced with excitement. David showed a troubled expression for a moment but quickly replaced it with a broad smile. "Of course. I'll shower and change right away." Watching David's back as he went upstairs, I let out a small sigh deep in my chest. Though my husband said nothing, he must have felt the same anxiety I did. When Mother suddenly announced she would throw Tommy's birthday party, David had simply nodded silently. Back in the kitchen, Tommy stood holding his new navy blazer with care. The blazer was a present sent by Father last month. Though Father usually works at construction sites, he always wears a navy Brooks Brothers suit on holidays. I couldn't help but smile at his characteristic choice. "Mom, I'm wearing this blazer. I want to dress like Grandpa." Tommy's words made my throat tighten with emotion. Though Father is strict and devoted to his work, he's kind to his grandchildren. He especially cares for Tommy. Unlike Mother. The clock showed 11. David came downstairs after his shower, dressed slightly more formally than usual in a white shirt and navy slacks. His hair was neatly styled, giving off a sophistication that was hard to imagine from his usual work clothes. "Perfect," I whispered while lightly adjusting his tie. Just then, my smartphone rang. The screen showed a message from Mother. "Come to party room on the 6th floor of the Lexington Hotel at 1 o'clock. Please don't be late." Mother's typical terse message. But that was fine. Today was a special day. Past noon, we got into the car. Tommy sat in the back seat, carefully holding his gift from Mother on his lap. Outside the window, the streets of Lexington were wrapped in gentle spring sunshine. The row of maple trees swayed their fresh greenery in the wind, and people walked their dogs along the sidewalks. A typical New England holiday scene. "Amy," David called quietly while driving. "Are you okay?" "Yes," I answered briefly. My husband understood my feelings. For the past 10 years, my relationship with Mother had been far from good. Even at the annual Christmas parties, Mother blatantly discriminated between my sister's family and ours. How many times had I seen Tommy's lonely expression while James received expensive gifts next to him? But today would be different. Mother had promised to throw Tommy a birthday party for the first time. I couldn't help but pray that this would mark a change in her heart. The Lexington Hotel came into view. Golden letters gleamed on the heavy red brick exterior. It was the finest hotel in the Boston suburbs and a center of local high society. This was also where Mother threw James's birthday parties every year. We parked in the hotel's underground garage and headed for the elevator. Tommy walked with little bouncing steps, carefully holding his gift for Mother. In his navy blazer, his back view looked like a little gentleman. "Tommy, I'm sure she'll love your picture," I said while gently stroking his hair. Tommy beamed a full smile. For a moment, that pure smile made anxiety flicker through my mind. But I quickly pushed it away. Today was special. It was Tommy's important birthday that Mother had promised to celebrate. The elevator arrived at the 6th floor, and the doors opened. The hallway was lined with luxurious wallpaper, and thick carpeting covered the floor. Faint music could be heard from the party room. "Well, shall we go?" I took a deep breath and held my husband's and son's hands. We took our first step toward the party room door. The moment we opened the party room door, my heart nearly stopped. A large banner reading, "Happy Birthday, James," was displayed at the front of the room. Colorful balloons hung from the ceiling, and a clown was entertaining children in the corner. On the table stood a 3-tiered birthday cake with "Happy 6th Birthday" carefully written in blue icing. "Amy, glad you could make it," I heard Mother's voice. Patricia stood there in her usual perfect makeup and designer dress, smiling gracefully. Next to her stood my sister Carol, while her son James ran around innocently. "Mother, this is..." Words wouldn't come out. I could feel Tommy's small hand trembling in mine. "Oh, Tommy. This is James's birthday party. Look, the clown is making balloons over there." Mother spoke as if nothing was wrong. There was even a hint of superiority in her voice. But Grandma promised." Tommy's voice was shaking. Tears began to well up in his big blue eyes. "I never made such a promise. Aren't you mistaken?" Mother's words were cold and businesslike. My sister Carol showed a troubled expression but said nothing. David placed his hand on my shoulder, but even his hand trembled slightly. Tommy suddenly broke free from my hand and ran out into the hallway. The frame he had been carefully holding fell to the floor. Though the glass didn't break, the frame was scratched. As I moved to chase after him, an unexpected voice came from the elevator hole. "Patricia, what is the meaning of this?" Turning around, there stood Father. His figure in the navy Brooks Brothers suit was more dignified than ever. And behind Father stood 3 middle-aged men, watching the situation with stern expressions. "George, why are you here?" Mother's voice rose. The 3 men standing next to Father were clearly business associates. All wore expensive suits and badges from the Mercy Hospital Group. After finalizing contracts with the executives of Mercy Hospital Group, they invited me to lunch. Father's voice was low and controlled, but his eyes held anger. We were planning to dine at the restaurant on this floor, but we nearly bumped into a boy running down the hallway in tears. When I looked, it was my grandson Tommy. Father slowly walked toward the party room. His footsteps seemed to echo even on the thick carpet. The party room door was open, so we looked inside. And we witnessed this situation. The Mercy Hospital Group executives followed Father into the room. The eldest-looking executive observed the situation with furrowed brows. "George, this is just a misunderstanding." Mother's voice trembled. Her face had gone pale beneath her perfect makeup. "A misunderstanding." Father's voice resonated deeply. I was just discussing diversity and inclusion with these gentlemen from Mercy Hospital Group, who are to be our partners in our next major project. We were talking about a society where everyone is equally respected, with these people who work in hospitals, places that care for human lives. And then we witnessed this reality. The eldest executive stepped forward. "Mr. Anderson, this is a serious matter." His voice was calm but carried weight. My sister Carol pulled James closer and retreated to a corner of the room. Other parents of children invited to the party also showed uncomfortable expressions. "Ladies and gentlemen, I deeply apologize." Father bowed deeply to the executives. "My lack of supervision in my household has led to this situation." "No, Mr. Anderson," one of the executives said. "Rather, we are impressed by your resolute attitude. Your stance against discriminatory behavior aligns perfectly with our hospital group's philosophy." Father looked straight at the executives. "Patricia." His voice was as cold as ice. "This ends both our marriage and your position at the company today." The blood drained from Mother's face. "George, you, surely not." "I hereby formally announce your dismissal as financial director. Regarding the divorce, I will contact lawyers tomorrow." The air in the room froze. The clown had already disappeared, and the party music had stopped. I stood stunned, watching this sudden turn of events in amazement. David held my hand, his warmth bringing me back to reality. "Tommy, we need to find Tommy." I came to my senses and ran toward the elevator hole. David followed. Father bowed deeply to the executives again, saying, "I apologize. Please allow me to look for my grandson," before following us. In the elevator hall, Tommy sat in a corner chair, trembling with his knees pulled up. He was carefully holding his framed picture. "Tommy." When I rushed over, my son burst into tears. Why did Grandma?" At that moment, Father quietly knelt before Tommy. "Tommy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't notice sooner." Father's voice was filled with a gentleness I'd never heard before. Tommy clung to him while sobbing. Father stroked his grandson's back with his large hand. The Mercy Hospital Group executives appeared in the elevator hole. The eldest executive quietly approached Father. "Mr. Anderson, we have made our decision." Father turned around. The executive wore a gentle smile. "We will proceed with the contract with Anderson Construction as planned. In fact, we would like to increase the amount by 20% from the initial plan. The reason is that we have confirmed that your company's management philosophy completely aligns with our values." Father nodded quietly. "Thank you. We will surely meet your expectations." After the executives left, Father turned back to Tommy. Tommy still held the framed picture in his hands. "Tommy, would you show me that picture?" Tommy hesitated but held out the picture. Father carefully received it and gazed at it intently. "What a wonderful picture. Was this a present for Grandma?" Tommy nodded slightly. Father smiled gently. "All right, I've decided. We'll hang this picture in our company's new reception room. When the people from Mercy Hospital Group come, they'll always see this picture." Tommy's eyes widened. "Oh, really?" Yes, really. A wonderful piece of art by my precious grandson. At father's words, a small smile appeared on Tommy's face. 30 minutes later, the hotel manager appeared hurriedly. He seemed to be an acquaintance of father's, and after hearing the situation, he immediately prepared the finest suite on the 12th floor. The windows offered a panoramic view of Boston's suburbs, with Lexington's historic buildings gleaming in the spring sunlight. "Tommy, why don't you rest a bit?" I smiled at my son. Tommy looked tired, sinking into the suite's large sofa. David sat next to him, gently placing a hand on our son's shoulder. Father stood by the window, having some conversation on his mobile phone. Deep fatigue showed through his stern expression. When he finished the call, he slowly turned around. "Amy, I'm sorry." Father's voice was unusually emotional. "I should have noticed." No, that woman's discriminatory attitude. At the company too, her class consciousness was too strong. I had noticed her looking down on temporary staff and field workers. I shook my head. "Dad, don't apologize. You took the right action when you noticed. That's enough." Just then, there was a knock at the room door. The manager appeared and respectfully announced, "Mr. Anderson, the executives from Mercy Hospital Group would like a moment of your time." Father straightened his posture. "Please show them in." The executives entered. The eldest man stepped forward and bowed politely. "Mr. Anderson, we apologize again for encountering such a scene earlier." "No, I should be the one apologizing." Father bowed deeply. "Actually," the executive continued, "we held an emergency video conference with our board of directors. To get straight to the point, we would like to increase the contract amount with your company by 50%. Father's eyes widened. 50%, that would mean an increase of $10 million. Yes, that's correct. The executive smiled gently. Our hospital group upholds the principle of equal healthcare for all. We want the company building our facilities to share the same values. Today's incident proved that your company is exactly such an enterprise. Another executive continued, "Actually, we had heard rumors about your wife's, the financial director's discriminatory behavior before. However, it's rare to find a manager who takes such a resolute stance as you did today." "Thank you." Father's voice trembled slightly. "But such a large increase." "No," the eldest executive waved his hand. "This isn't charity. It's purely a business decision. Partnering with a company that holds such values will enhance our hospital group's reputation as well." Just then, the room door burst open. Mother stood there. Her perfect makeup was ruined, her eyes red and swollen. "George, are you serious? You intend to throw me out of the company?" Mother's voice was shrill and hysterical. Tommy fearfully pressed closer to David's arms. Father looked at Mother calmly. "Patricia, you don't understand your position." "Understand? What am I supposed to understand? I'm your wife. The financial director of Henderson Construction." "No," Father's voice was as cold as ice. "You have lost both of those positions." Mother's face turned ashen. At that moment, my sister Carol burst into the room. Mother, that's enough, Carol's voice trembled. I can't stand it anymore either. Mother turned around in surprise. Carol. Even you. To treat my sister and Tommy like that. Tears streamed from Carol's eyes. I've kept quiet all this time. But now. The Mercy Hospital Group executives quietly observed this family drama. The eldest executive stepped forward once more. Madam, the executive's voice was stern. Our hospital group is an enterprise that provides medical services worth $10 billion annually. And at the core of our principles lies the belief in protecting the dignity of all human beings. The executive paused for a breath before continuing. Today's events will surely become a topic of discussion in our industry. A financial director who engaged in discriminatory behavior was dismissed, and the president himself made that decision immediately. This is an exemplary corporate response. Mother's expression gradually crumbled. And, the executive continued, this matter will surely be covered in medical industry journals. Your actions and your company's response will be presented as a prime example of corporate social responsibility. Mother staggered and leaned against the wall. No, my reputation. Father announced calmly, I've already had your belongings sent to your parents' home. The divorce papers should arrive tomorrow. But my savings. As the company's financial director, it seems there were numerous inappropriate expenditures. Anger seeped through Father's voice. There will be an audit. If there were any illegal expenditures, we will take appropriate action. Mother collapsed to the floor. Carol rushed over, but Mother pushed away her daughter's hand. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just trying to maintain the family's appearance, our social status. Mother, I spoke quietly. That's not what real family bonds are about. Tommy hesitantly stood up from the sofa. With David's help, he walked toward Mother. Grandma, Tommy's voice was small but clear. Didn't you like my picture? At that innocent question, the air in the room froze. Mother looked up at my son, tried to say something, but no words came out. Her face just contorted beneath her ruined makeup. Tommy, Father placed his hand on his grandson's shoulder. That picture will be displayed in a much more valuable place. It will become a symbol of hope for many people in the new hospital. The Mercy Hospital Group executives nodded. Indeed. We will display it in a special place in the entrance hall, as a young artist's work, complete with an explanatory plaque. Tommy's eyes sparkled. Mother stared blankly at the scene. The eldest executive concluded with a gentle voice. Mr. Anderson, we'll work out the contract details at a later date. Well then, we'll take our leave. After the executives left, silence dominated the room. 1 month later, on a Saturday, I was gazing at the backyard from the kitchen window. The maple leaves had grown to a deeper green, and early summer sunlight poured down. I could hear David pushing Tommy on the swing. Their laughter carried on the gentle breeze. The phone rang, displaying my sister's name. Amy, Carol's voice had become softer than before. James is looking forward to tonight's dinner too. We had started having weekly family dinners every Saturday at Father's newly purchased suburban house. Mother, forced to divorce and resign from the company, had returned to her parents' home. Her life in the luxury apartment now seemed like a distant past. "We're looking forward to it too," I replied. "Tommy's planning to bring a new picture he drew." Carol let out a small sigh. "About Mother. I called her parents' house this morning." I listened silently. "She doesn't seem well. She says her society friends have completely abandoned her." That was to be expected. The article about the Mercy Hospital Group contract was prominently featured in industry papers. Henderson Construction's anti-discrimination initiative was praised, and Father's decision was presented as a model for business leaders. In the process, Mother's actions were also reported in detail. "But," Carol continued, "I think she's starting to change. Yesterday, she asked about Tommy's artwork." "Mother did?" "Yes. She read in the local newspaper about the picture that will be displayed in the new hospital's entrance hall. She asked, 'Is Tommy still drawing?' I looked out the window. David was pushing Tommy higher and higher. My son's smile shone toward the early summer sky." "Sis," Carol's voice trembled. "I need to apologize too. For staying quiet back then." "It's all right," I said gently. "You were in a difficult position too." In the afternoon, we headed to Father's new home. Unlike the previous mansion, it was a modest single-family house. But the garden bloomed with seasonal flowers, radiating a warm, homey atmosphere. When we opened the front door, pleasant aromas wafted from the kitchen. Father was cooking, wearing an apron. This was a side of Father I'd never seen before. The man I'd only known in business suits now showed this different face on holidays. "Grandpa." Tommy ran over. "I brought a new picture." Father put down his knife and peered at the picture his grandson held out. It was a watercolor of the family having dinner together. The warm colors brought out the lively expressions of the people around the table. "Wonderful," Father beamed. "We'll hang this in our dining room." Carol and James arrived too, and the family dinner began. Father's homemade dishes covered the table. This was a new side of Father we'd never seen before. "Hey," during the meal, Carol brought up, about Mother, "should we leave things like this?" Father paused with his chopsticks for a moment. "That woman needs time to deeply consider her actions." Then, after a slight pause, he continued. "However, if she truly shows remorse and proves she has changed, we might invite her to Tommy's birthday." Carol and I exchanged glances. There was a hint of compassion in Father's voice. "Really?" Tommy's eyes sparkled. "Will Grandma come?" "But," Father said in a voice both gentle and stern, "that will only be when Grandma has truly changed in a meaningful way. Family bonds are important, but at the same time, each person's dignity must be protected." After dinner, the family gathered in the living room. Outside the window, the setting sun filtered through the trees, gently coloring the room. Tommy and James were playing with Lego blocks together. Any past friction was completely absent between the children. David placed his hand on my shoulder. "How is it?" he whispered softly. "Yes," I smiled. "This is how a real family should be." Just then, Tommy started drawing a new picture. Colorful lines danced across the drawing paper. "What are you drawing?" I asked, and Tommy answered with a serious expression. A family picture. I'm making sure to include Grandma too. At those words, the atmosphere in the room softened slightly. Father quietly closed his eyes and let out a deep sigh. It felt like a breath of relief and hope. Outside, the early summer breeze blew gently, and maple leaves swayed quietly in the light, as if announcing the beginning of a new season.